It's Tuesday evening and it's 6 p.m. UK time. This is the Spiritual Discussion Program. I am Saad in Southeast London, and with me as usual is Gregory. Gregory, how are you and how is the weather where you are? Gregory, maybe you're on mute. Can you hear me? Okay, now you're on mute. Gregory, can you hear me? Just checking.
Yes, but very faint.
Ah, okay. Let me do something. Apologies. Okay, can you hear me better now?
I'll do something from my end.
Yes, please. Okay, dear listeners, as I said, this is a spiritual discussion program. I'm Saad in Southeast London. Here the weather is little windy and overcast, and it's been raining a little bit, but yeah, and a bit cold as well. So, Gregory, can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Good. How's the weather where you are?
It's mild.
Okay.
A bit bright.
And a bit bright. Okay. So welcome to the show, listeners. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdrushin. And every week we have a new topic for discussion. The topic tonight is the distorted tool. The distorted tool. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is blessradio1, that's the number one.com. And if you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Abdrushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the readers again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized, and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover, through the intuitive perception, if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses. nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Abd Rushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail Message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail Message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic for discussion tonight is the distorted tool. The distorted tool. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of, there's one other way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. And if you scroll down on the home page, you will see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. Gregory, as you know, I like to look up the meaning of the words in the topic, which is tonight the distorted tool. So the first word there, the key word, is distorted. And I looked up in the dictionary the word distorted, and it says pulled or twisted out of shape. That's one meaning it gives. What do you say about this meaning, Gregory, in relevant to our topic?
That meaning that's just read out is peculiar to material things. In the material sense, it is correct. Whereas that we are referring to here is universal. So in that aspect, it's not precise enough.
Okay, so let me try with the second definition for the meaning of the word distorted. It says giving a misleading or false account or impression, misrepresented. So this is, I'll just repeat that. There is another meaning for distorted, giving a misleading or false account or impression, misrepresented. What do you say about this one?
Well, in accordance with the laws of creation, a misrepresentation is nearest to that when that expression distorted is used.
Okay, that's good. We will, what we'll do, as we go further in the discussion, these things will become clearer and you can see what it really means. Now, there's another word there, the distorted tool. In the topic, the second word there is tool. So here in the dictionary, it says the definition, a device or implement, especially one held in the hand, used to carry out a particular function. So, Gregory, how good is this definition for our discussion?
Well, if you look carefully, most of these definitions are tied to what is known, to that which is earthly, whereas it is the conceptual that we need to consider.
Right. So again, it's a limitation in the definition. Is there anything you could, with these two words that we've used, the distorted tool, would you like to add some spiritual angle now, or shall we continue?
Maybe only during the journey can a picture now arise when the word tool is used, basically an implement, but an implement in the material sense or in the non-material sense, then we'll come closer to it.
Right. So as you can imagine, my very obvious question I would like to now ask on this topic of the distorted tool, what exactly is this distorted tool? Is it part of the human being's body, mind, or spirit?
That's another very pertinent question. The spirit itself is not distorted because it has its own unique qualities. However, in its communication with the human body, the possibility now exists where there is a misrepresentation. Therein lies the distortion.
Right. There's a key word there you use, Gregory, communication. If I get you correctly, it's a communication coming from the spirit to the body. Am I correct there, Gregory?
Yes, communication between the spirit and the body, or from the body to the spirit.
Okay, that's good. We're really getting in now to the topic, so that's good. Now, communication. Now, Gregory, there was a second, excuse me, there was a second part to this question about what is the distorted tool. The second part is it an implement or something that has been developed on the earth that the human being uses? So, excuse me, I seem to have a rough, let me just repeat that, Gregory. So, is this distorted tool an implement which is found or developed on the earth that the human being is using?
Of course, the tool that can be distorted or the tool that can cause a distortion is only on that which is temporal. And that which is temporal is basically the earthly tool which is used, albeit the brain, that part which is able to receive of the radiations from the spirit, or is able to send through its activities radiations to the spirit.
Thanks very much for this answer, Gregory. Um, I can see you just mentioned the tool being the brain here, and somehow there's some distortion happening between the communication between the spirit and the body. So through the mind, through the brain, and it's to and fro. So to this, from the spirit to the body, and the body, and from the body to the spirit. So this is the issue here. Now, okay. So it seems there's a problem, Gregory, if there's a distortion going on between the communication between the body, the spirit, and the body. Now, maybe, Gregory, we should just define what is a spirit. Some people may not know what is a spirit. Then the body, I think we know what it is, a body. So please, can you just define the spirit? We're talking about human beings. Just if you can give us a bit of understanding about what do we mean by using that word spirit in reference to human beings.
The spirit basically is the inner core of man, which inner core activates the physical body. It is the seat of consciousness, and subsequently it's through its activities over millennia has started from a state of unconsciousness now to a state of consciousness, and finally it strives to become self-conscious. That means self-aware in accordance with the laws through which it came into existence.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer and picture that you're painting for us. I can see this is quite, how can I say, deep and understanding or picture that you're painting. And it may be new for many people. Although the words are not new, we know spirit, we've heard the word spirit, we've heard of consciousness, and so on. But I think you are giving the structure, if I can say, of this, of what human beings are, and which may not be known so well to the general public. So this is good that we are building a foundation now to get deeper into this topic. You know, now, so I think the question, Gregory, the next question is, this tool we are saying is the brain, and it's meant to be the tool to communicate between the spirit and the body. Now, and there's some distortion happened there. I'm just trying to think. So let's say, let me ask this, Gregory. Is this brain, has it been functioning properly in the early, let's say, human beings, and something has changed over history? I think you gave a hint or clue that things have changed over time in the human being. So can you give us a little bit of background or understanding that was the brain operating in a, let's say, perfect way, in a correct way, in the beginning or in the past, and something has happened? Maybe we don't need to go into every step up of the story right now, but was it operating correctly, the brain, the tool, before, let's say in the beginning of the early human beings?
Generally, you have that when there are two things concerned, the inner core of man, which is of spirit, and the physical body, there is a communication between them. The communication takes the form of radiations. Radiations from the spirit, which then have an impact on the brain that helps in the control of the body. Also, when in the activities of the brain of the physical body, there are also radiations which are subsequently passed on to the spirit. These radiations, these are experiences which the spirit needs to use as foundation blocks in its coming to consciousness and subsequently self-consciousness. If, however, you have, on the one hand, the spirit not sufficiently engaging itself in vibrant activities, then you have a mismatch. On the other hand, you have that if the brain, the frontal brain, engages in so much activities and is unable to radiate these impressions it has gathered to the spirit, then you also have a misrepresentation. So on both ways, the possibility is there for a misrepresentation. But this is only possible for those that have the free will to decide. For those who have the free will to decide, they might, in their activities, consider that which is earthly as, utmost importance, and then they hold on to it. So in that particular scenario, you could see that that balance, which is supposed to have arisen in the smooth communication between the spirit and the body, is disturbed. Whenever you have that the balance is disturbed, then you have an exaggeration. Whenever there is that exaggeration, then you have a misrepresentation. That misrepresentation over time takes on form and becomes a distortion. A simple example, if you have an instrument which you do not use again and again, before long, like in every language, if you do not speak the language you need to use to communicate again and again, before long, you lose the diction. You lose the diction because you now adapt yourself to that level, that very low level, because one is involved only in terrestrial activities which are of no benefit to the spirit. In that case, you will find that the personality here on it only focuses on that which it considers to be of benefit only to the physical body, whereas to the spirit, it's unable to extract that radiation it needs for it to mature. So it is the imbalance that precipitates, due to the exaggeration of the earthly part of the brain, that is what has caused the distortion.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this picture you're painting there, a detailed picture. What I can see from what you're saying, there is the spirit and the brain and the body, and there's a communication going on. You said the spirit is sending its radiation or radiating, and then it's, you could say, passing it on to the brain and then communicating to the body. And they're of a different, if I can say, different species. So spirit is a different species to the brain or the body. One is earthly and the other one spiritual. I think this is an easy way to look at it. And they're two different species. So they have, different expressions, you can say, or radiations, as you've been saying. So, and yet they need to communicate with each other. So it's like there's a spiritual language and there's, you can say, an earthly language, and they need to work in harmonies to live on the earth, for example. There's earthly activities, and then there's spiritual activities, which must be, how can I say, manifest. It's a two-way thing, not just one way. You receive, the spirit sends out a communication, but it also receives as well. And similarly, the body is receiving and also sending back. So there's quite a number of things here, processes, you can say, that need to be, we need to be aware of and understand. Now, and they're of different species, the way I have put it, and so it's like a language. You need to learn the language, the spiritual language and the earthly language, for the things to work properly. Now, I'm a bit, Gregory, before I ask you a further question, I just want to let the listeners know that this is Blessed Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdrushin. And if you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, that's GRAIL, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we are discussing tonight is the distorted tool. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK phone number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the homepage, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. As I've mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessradio1, the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again that's the number 1, space live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. And you can listen to the recording of this show the next day also on YouTube. That is, again, going to type youtube.com, and in the search box, type Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which is tonight, the distorted tool. And of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno. That's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. Again, that's the number 1 there. Now, Gregory, there's a lot we have been talking in this first half an hour about the distorted tool. Now, what we have made clear, the tool is the brain, which is the tool to be used communicating between the brain, between the spirit and the body. And this process, obviously, it has to work in harmony. Otherwise, communication, as you said, Gregory, there can be a misrepresentation, either from the body to the spirit or the spirit to the body. So, I mean, the obvious question comes from there is, what has happened? Well, it is an assumption, I must admit, that we are saying there is a distortion. Maybe before we say there's a distortion, Gregory, we should see what is going on actually in the human beings. In their communication with the body. So, Gregory, would you say, well, let me just go back a little bit. I was saying that the spirit, of course, it wants to do its spiritual activity, and the body wants to do earthly activities, which are, you could say, different species, and yet they need to work in harmony. So, is there, Gregory, a distortion that because there's a mismatch between the spirit and the mismatch, meaning they're different species, that because they are different species, spirit and the body, there's a misunderstanding because of those different species?
The question you didn't ask yourself, from when did the body accrue the power that it uses. That power must have arisen from somewhere. So the body is just not on its own. The body needs a source, and there is the source. Actually, the body is only a tool. Therefore, if the user of the tool uses it in such a way that is able to communicate effectively, that means it's able to discipline the body in such a way that the body is now able to respond, then there will be harmony. So it is not because that there is a mismatch between the spirit and the body. That is not the issue. The issue is how well is the communication. The issue of free will then comes into this. Where the spirit in vigorous activities and able to compel the body in such a way that there is a response, as you find in many cases, as you have in the arts or in music, then harmony is there. But in the case where that does not happen, you find what we have here on earth today, warfare here and there. You ask yourself, why is that the case? After all, the warring parties came from the same realm in order to experience here and go back. After all, when you go out and meet somebody from your hometown, you feel happy, you rejoice with the person, and you work together with the person because you want the person to succeed. That is the ideal situation. Then the question is, why is it that the spirit, the human spirit that has set out from paradise to experience, only come here and after some time, they deprive themselves of that opportunity by making it difficult for others to experience. And therefore, in reciprocal activity, they bind themselves. All these have arisen because man has the free will to decide how he or she wishes to proceed. It is how well you make use of this free will that counts. So the implement which the human personality or the human species, spirit gem, that implement that is supposed to use, if it is too lazy to use it aright, then you have precipitation of slowness, things like jealousy, all the evil you can think about come from that misuse, from that misrepresentation. For if there were no misrepresentation, then the pictures which they would have harbored, will be a picture of many coming from the same source, just as two people who meet themselves outside, on learning that they are from the same place, embrace themselves and wish to support each other.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this answer. And again, the big picture that you've shown there, that this is really about, like you say, free will, the decisions we make, how we apply ourselves as a spirit in using the body or communicating with the body. And so through our decisions, there are consequences. Making decisions we make results in whatever action that results, then there are consequences from that. So it seems, well, it's a choice. You can go, let's say, to support, like you said, when you meet a fellow person, somebody from your home place, and you want to support each other, or maybe for some reason you meet somebody else and you now want to, I don't know, compete or even, let's say, undermine, like, something negative, something harmful. Then obviously there are consequences of these type of decisions and actions when you do that. And so yes, so there are 2 points, I think, there, Gregory. It's the decisions we are making, and it's like what type of decisions we are making from that. How beneficial or harmful? Maybe that's the way to look at it. And there's consequences, equivalent, corresponding consequences when you make whichever decision you go for, beneficial or harmful. So I can see that. Now, and the tool, to be clear, Gregory, is the tool is the body, the brain and the body. I think we are saying that. So the spirit is supposed to use this body and the brain in, let's say, it's carrying out earthly activities, So, okay. And Gregory, just to check something, is there any, you could say, with the brain, is it already a perfectly working tool, or is there something that it needs developing, or is it got any deficiencies in this brain? We should be aware, yeah, please, if you can tell us about that.
It's surprising when it's said there will be deficiencies. Of course, the scenario where the tool is not able to function harmoniously with the user of that tool, then it must be that the cultivation of that tool is deficient. The way that tool has been cultivated is deficient. For if it has been cultivated in the right way, then there will be resonance between the spirit, the radiations that streams out of it, and the radiations that it receives. The same thing happens to the intellect. But since that is not the case, and there is the exaggeration, which the effect which we find here on earth everywhere, which exaggeration has precipitated structures of evil, which can easily be ascertained by anyone who is able to judge aright. It therefore means that that tool has not been cultivated aright. For the free will to cultivate is always there, an intrinsic feature of the human spirit. An intrinsic feature of the human spirit to cultivate humanness. However, because the individual has the free will, he or she might decide to proceed as they see fit, or as they see, or they do not even see, if at all they care. So that's how it goes.
Thanks very much for that, Gregory. Now I'm looking at, I'm thinking actually about, human beings' achievements or man's achievements. So you can say in technology, we are making life, we have been successful with inventions and, in quotes, making life easier, with technology, and also in medicine, finding ways to treat people. Again, it's also technology really, but it is discoveries and inventions there helping. So that you could say is beneficial. At the same time, man is also having weapons, which of course they're not damaging by themselves. It's only how they're used. Because in theory, it's supposed to meant for it can be used for defense or it can be for offense. So it's like that. So, and then there is, you could say, some people, countries wanting to dominate other countries or peoples for whatever reason, and then that is causing suffering. So for one or the other, so this is the activities of human beings we see, all made of by decisions, Gregory, as you've mentioned, through our decisions. Now, as you said also, Gregory, these are things you can see quite clearly yourself. Any person can see, oh, this is harmful, this is beneficial. Really, it should be straightforward. But somehow, Gregory, over his millennia, we don't seem to learn to, I couldn't say live in harmony. We seem to want to dominate, as say, sometime one over the other, and gather, you could say, whatever material possessions. Is it land? Is it resources? And mineral resources or whatever resources, money and so on. So again, all these things seem neutral in a way. If I call these material things, earthly things, neutral, it's just how it is used. That's what I think you're pointing to, that with our free will, we have gone one way or the other way. But somehow, Gregory, through these experiences, we don't seem to learn. So in terms of living in harmony with others, with ourselves and others. So again, I'm asking Gregory, is there some deficiency or do we have some, I don't know, how can I put it? Maybe it's not deficiency. Why can't we live, Gregory? I mean, after so many millennia of living on this earth, why is it that we can't seem to be at peace with each other?
Because, very simply, we have not practiced how to live with each other in harmony. It is much too difficult for many a person to live in harmony with his or her neighbor. There are some that will prefer continuous warfare because of their immaturity. You raise a point that the human brain, on investigating, there was discoveries. Discovery only gives the impression that that which has been discovered already was always there, and that we only had just matured enough to become aware that it is there. Therefore, that we had not initially been able to perceive it, that which always has been there is our own inadequacy, our own fault. For if we were vigilant enough, one would have found out about these things and adjusted oneself. A simple example is the airplane. It was those who first fabricated that structure are not from the universities, far from it. Were simple human beings who did not follow the complicated rules that had been set down by those in the universities. The same thing goes the case of pharmacy or of medicine. They found out what has always been there. Only then did they have to make adjustments. And they could only find out only when they proceeded in humility. If someone acknowledges that he or she lacks the ability to investigate not only intellectually but intuitively, then that becomes a basis of that person moving forward. If, however, that person already says, I know it all, then how can that personality move forward? The same thing happens with the brain, the frontal brain. It asserts that it knows it already. Therefore, whatever information is passed from the spirit, it ignores it until it falls into a quagmire. That which should have been of benefit becomes a curse. A simple example was during the time of Moses. As the people he led were under severe suffering. They lost faith in the ability of human beings to have compassion because it didn't make sense to them anymore. In that particular scenario, they were very well led. Moses came, and in his desire to be of help effectively, withdrew to mature inwardly in order to receive the tablets of the law. These tablets of the law were made very simple. You should not do this. You shouldn't do this to your neighbor. You shouldn't do this and shouldn't do that. Now, one would have thought that is what those who themselves have gone through severe suffering, those people will not on any account inflict severe suffering on others. But the story is clear. No sooner had they been released from such sufferings, they themselves started inflicting sufferings on others. That law which was given to them, which would lead to the promised land, upwards to the paradise of man, where they would have matured in such a way as to be able to lead others towards the paradise of man as self-conscious human personality, that they ignored. Intellectually, they now wanted, or they were now seeking, or they had interpreted that law, those laws which were given to them, only in an earthly way. Now they could even steal, even when they were told they shouldn't steal. They could kill. Even their leaders subsequently would kill. Now you ask yourself, the law which was granted to them to elevate them, prepare them, first to help themselves, and subsequently to help others. That means to mediate such understanding to others, such that they mature, become self-conscious, also assisting others to become self-conscious, such that the maturity be such that they can go back home as self-conscious human spirit. That was swept aside. Therefore, the spirit became immature and earthbound because the frontal brain only sought that which would benefit it and nothing for the spirit of man. The rest is history, which history repeats itself again and again and again. Not only of the tribes of Israel as such, but in cases where one individual or group of individuals consider themselves superior to others, therein lies the problem as usual.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this answer or explanation you've given. about, you could say, the behavior of man or humanity for millennia in terms of lacking humility, knowing where it stands, so that knowing that there are laws, that you don't live in a vacuum. You are living with others around you. There's an environment there, and you cannot just do whatever you wish. Yes, you have free will, but when you make a decision, the consequence is not only on you, it's also on others. And somehow, as you have said, despite repeated, even, let's say, warnings and helps from the Almighty through his messengers, bringing the word of God and guidance and the laws to follow, we still seem to do what we want to do stubbornly, rather than in humility what will benefit us. So there seems to be some terrible, I don't know, disease or problem within us to deal with this, to live right, let's say. We're going to keep exploring this distorted tool in a moment. What is this distorted tool? What has been happening? How it's been used, and what's happening with it? In a moment, I just want to let the listeners know that this is Bless Radio, and this is the Spiritual Discussion Program. And the aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdrushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is the distorted tool. It's the distorted tool. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. There you can scroll down on the home page, and you'll see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments there. And as I say, we are broadcasting on blessradio1, the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space, live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can also listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is the distorted tool. And of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the number one again. Gregory, I've received a couple of, I don't know, questions or comments. I'm just not opening them now from a couple of listeners. Okay. One is the listener is saying, powerful show. They have to go now and they'll finish listening tomorrow. Okay, so thank you for that, listener. And the other one, I thought I had a message just now, which seems to, just let me check it. Oh, yes, I found it. So this listener is saying, good evening. I've just been listening to the Grail Message show. I have a question. How do we build our spirit to facilitate our intuitive perception and the connection between the spirit, mind, and body? Thank you, listener. So I'm just going to repeat that, Gregory. So the question is, how do we build our spirit to facilitate our intuitive perception and the connection between the spirit, mind, and body? Gregory, would you like to respond to that?
Yes, thanks for that particular question. The question or the questioner says how. It is the spirit in its vigorous activity that is able to have a strong impact on the physical body. The firm good volition in accordance with the living laws of creation is the first step. Therefore, it is not the body that builds up the spirit, but it is the spirit in its vigorous activities that strongly influences the body. It also means that the personality, the core of which is spirit, must seek after that which is of benefit to the spirit. First, understanding that activities here on earth are temporal. That which is of spirit, which draws the spirit upwards, are not temporal, because these experiences may be used in another earth life or in another realm where the spirit needs to experience. That is one way of proceeding. The spirit must seek after those things that are of spirit. That does not mean he should ignore things that are of the earth. For the physical body, also the brain, is earthly, therefore must be maintained. How the physical body must be maintained, such solutions may already come from suggestions from the spirit on how to proceed. how the spirit communicates with the physical body is basically in pictures without words. For these pictures encapsulate the volition of the spirit. One other thing that may be done here on earth is to watch out what one takes in as food, one's food intake. For whenever there is some exaggeration in the spirit, in the physical body, in its vibration, it has an impact on that communication channel. Therefore, one must seek on two grounds, on spiritual grounds and on the earthly ground. But the guidance must always come from that which is spiritual. The guidance in accordance with the laws of creation. In this scenario, there is a stress on a firm, good volition, spiritual volition, which sets high goal to ennoble all that exists. There is also in this process that of patience and persistence. For these high goals can only be achieved through patience, through persistence. There is also that unflinching love for all that exists. That love which, like Christ himself had done, seeks to cultivate that which is of benefit not only for itself, but also for others, with the realization that just as he himself or herself seeks that which is beneficial, so also is the other. In that case, before long, with such persistence and love, one will find that in accordance with the laws, those with similar or homogeneous efforts, they will come together and in a step-by-step manner will achieve that which seemed impossible. Then, and only then, will the human personality, through its activities, understand what it means to be free at last. Free at last because it has come to that state of vigorous motion where it knows, it is convinced that to get back home to its origin as a self-conscious human personality It has to be one for all and all for one. Above all, for some who are bold enough, the walk in the light of truth, which exposes what the light is and what the truth is. This walk, the Grail Message of Abdushin, is an invaluable helper to realize that which the human spirit seeks vigorously.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for your detailed answer there to the listener's question. Just going to repeat the question to make sure we addressed it. The question was, how do we build up our spirit to facilitate our intuitive perception and the connection between the spirit, mind, and body? And Gregory, in your answer, you covered a lot of things there. You know, you could say these virtues that we need to, let me say everything boils down to there's a goal, there's a structure, and purpose, you can say. And once you are clear about the purpose and goal is one and the same thing, you can say, and if you're aware of, you could say, this goal, the purpose, then, and there's what the structure is of this activity of the human beings in the world that we live, and how, the structure, there's a spirit, there's a body, there's the brain. All of this must work in harmony, with the spirit leading, you could say, directing, and the body following. And then, but the communication is two-way, not in one way, because it must be receiving and returning, you can say. So, so again, that's a cycle. You can see that as a cycle. So there's this complete cycle that we need to be aware of. In fact, all this Grail message, as we have been in every show that we point out, it is a spiritual awakening. The idea is to become spiritually awakened or conscious, or even Gregory, self-conscious eventually. So this is the journey of life that we are talking about here in this show. And step by step, we have to go, to develop ourselves as human beings, from unconscious to conscious to self-conscious. But really, the first part is to know who we are, you could say the structure, and then know the goal. Then all these, let's say, distortions and going astray shouldn't be happening. We know when you know what is your goal and what is your purpose. So thank you very much, Gregory, for these answers you've given, or the pictures you've painted there. And hopefully, Delphine, this has answered your question. That is the listener who asked the question. I mentioned you by name this time. So thank you. Now, Gregory, I want to, you refer to Moses, and there's some other things that are mentioned in the Bible, and I'd like to explore them now in regard to the distorted tool. So, Gregory, there is Lucifer, or devil, the devil, sometimes referred to as the devil, who has been, you could say, tempting human beings to mislead us or to go astray, because you said this is distortion is a misrepresentation. So there's another factor there, Gregory, Lucifer, who's there to bring us down. But we haven't mentioned him up till now. So doesn't he have a big factor, as I said, to, let's say, lead us astray? So I don't know if he's part of the distorted tool as such, but is he not a factor too in our, how can I say, our journey to paradise, to disturb us or distract us from our journey to paradise?
You yourself already said to distract us. For one who, even as a fledgling personality, for one who is focused to ensure he or she accomplish a particular goal, that personality will always weigh, will always examine in accordance with the laws of creation. All these are done intuitively. In such a case, the chances of distractions are minimized. Even when distracted, if it is still filled with that volition of that which is of benefits and will lead it upwards, it will quickly find its way to the path that will lead upwards and will not permit itself to be distracted by the tempter. The tempter does not need to come himself and be, all right? There are enough people around us who we can easily see, and we just follow their examples without weighing where it leads or examining where it leads. Therein lies a problem. You just find somebody doing something and you just copy it without taking the time. This normally arises from indolence. To most of the time, consider that the other personality has much more than yourself, and therefore you copy him. And that which you yourself have that you need to develop, you ignore it. What do you then expect? The language is given to everyone alike. Use it. Do not ignore the development of the language first to benefit yourself. But in most cases, there is again the distraction. Distractions only come when you permit the distractor to have an influence. Therefore, Lucifer or no Lucifer, that is not the essence. For someone with a firm volition who needs to go back home as a self-conscious human personality, who knows or who through experiences is convinced is one for all and all for one, Lucifer would not find time for such a person. It is those who are asleep, those who are supposed to be up to their tasks. It is those that Lucifer will fan so that they sleep the more, because they have given the indication that they are not prepared for self-development. After all, they have to be self-conscious. But if they are asleep, or if they allow that which is spiritual within them to become asleep, and hold on to that which is temporary here on earth, then the error is theirs.
Thanks again, Gregory, for your again detailed answer there. I've got another question. You talked about this, you could say, arrogance that we human beings seem to have. I don't know if you mentioned that word arrogance, but that you sort of implied that there, that somehow we know better, or we somehow feel we can be dominant to other people, or even other species, even animals and the environment somehow, because we seem to have, let's say, been able to, make inventions and things technologically advance ourselves. Somehow we seem to know better than we think. We know better. And yet we know there's a lot we don't know as well. And somehow from that we have turned thinking that we have become a master. And, there's some sort of, how can I say, attractiveness of that, I don't know the word, being a master or being dominant. I'm not quite sure exactly what it is. And yet it is clear that it's not really, if anybody reflect for even a second, are you really the master? Did you create this world? Even the earth, we didn't create it. We're just using the resources here. We making use of it, even if it's good or bad, how we use it. But it's not us who brought this world here. And so there's some sort of self-delusion, Gregory, happening. And I just now I'm trying to understand that. Well, how is that happening? So, and I'm wondering, Gregory, is it some addiction that we are having for, we, of course, people, for example, the bad habits, let's say smoking, gambling or whatever is clear. Those things are clear. But, maybe gathering earthly possessions on the surface, it doesn't seem to be a bad thing. But maybe we have got addicted, as I was saying, Gregory, to these type of things. Somehow it's become attractive to have this, more money, more this or more that, earthly things. So what's my question? Yes, how come, Gregory, we have become so attached or addicted, as I'm using the word, to these earthly possessions and earthly things, wishes?
Because we permitted it. There is the notion that if you do not use that vigorously, the ability that is endowed to you, before long, you will find that that ability starts waning. in its influence. And subsequently, it's as if it is covered up, as if you never had it. And this is always the case where that volition for that which is noble is not used vigorously. All those virtuous volition, truthfulness, of kindness. So you find that in accordance with the laws of creation, only that which you use vigorously, only that will persist for quite some time. So, in the gathering of earthly possessions, we put our mind and soul and spirit in it just to gather earthly possession. Then we spend so much time and energy. If in gathering the possessions you yourself just mentioned, if in a day we spend 20 hours in gathering these possessions again and again, because we cannot predict what will happen tomorrow, therefore you want to keep having again and again. You only have 4 hours left in which you sleep. What time and energy does the human personality now devote to that which will be of benefit to the spirit? Practically none. And because he or she is engaged in these activities continuously, it becomes a very firm habit. And before long, it distorts the human volition. It distorts almost everything because your judgment is now focused on that alone. The balance between that which is earthly and that which is non-earthly, which comes from the higher realm, that balance is already upsetted. Because once that balance is upset, there will be a precipitation of, okay, more of this, more of this. So you then find some people then gather so much gold, so much silver, so much currency that they will not even spend a fraction of that in an earth life. Instead of them to now reevaluate all this, the rest of their energy is spent on how to protect it such that no one will make use of it or take it away from them. Then it becomes that you are unable to move forward because dragging all those things with you, for yourself, you have to hire people and you don't wish to. So you can't move forward, you cannot move backwards. And the effect of such is terrible. So what then happens? The likelihood is that you will now move into that realm where you'll be lying, tell one lie here, tell another lie here, all this to protect what you yourself consider is most important. That's how it goes. And that is how many then lose their way.
Thanks very much again, Gregory, for your uh, answer there. Um, Dear listeners, you are listening to Bless Radio. This is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdrushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is the distorted tool. The distorted tool. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. And if you scroll down on the homepage, you will see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type any questions or comments. And as I say, you're listening to us on Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. That's youtube.com, and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. And of course, you can listen also to the recording of this show the next day on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space Grail Message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is the distorted tool. And of course, you can listen to our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM / Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. Gregory, we've been talking about really how the spirit should be, would say, through its volition, through its free will, direct the body to, for the earthly activities, allow it to do the earthly activities, eating, work, whatever, we know those, we are very familiar with the earthly activities. And then there's a, you could say, it's supposed to reflect on all these activities, experiences, as we call it, really, to learn, to grow, to mature. So everything is, as we say, Gregory, you always say, all for one and one for all, but not only between people, but for the mutual benefit of, the body and the spirit. That's really, that's the incredible, you could say, the wisdom of the Almighty, a Creator, where He's put things which are beneficial, in every aspect of life. If we are can be bothered even to examine and look at these things. And we will see that. That is how he's built this creation. If you know that how it is supposed to work, how it works, if he can, investigate and discover these things. So now, Gregory, and the brain is what you have said is the tool where the spirit works, communicates through the brain to the body. Even the body is a tool as well to operate on this earth. So, but in this case, we are focusing more on the brain. Now, Gregory, you've mentioned quite a few times the frontal brain, which is the seat of the intellect. And people might be wondering, what do you mean there, intellect? And intellect, is it, Gregory, is intellect intelligence? Can you tell us a bit more? What is the intellect?
These expressions were used with the hope that because these discussions are only an introduction to the living work in the light of truth, these expressions are used in such a way that it's supposed to gently jolt the person to examine for themselves. Only in such a way will these discussions be of benefit, else they won't be of benefit. There will be no need for these discussions if everything can clearly, explicitly explained, and the human personality doesn't make an effort. Of course, that which is referred to as the intellect has arisen from the activities of the brain. That which is referred to as the intellect is basically gross material. That means earthly comprehension. Earthly comprehension using the five senses, which five senses we all know. I don't need to mention the five senses. These five senses, which is used to understand, to comprehend any event on earth. These events are passed on like pictures. As long as they are able to penetrate from the frontal brain to the back brain, then the spirit is able to partake of these experiences. That means the spirit is influenced. Again, every picture is a pointer. So the pictures which have now been generated, which has been formed from this scenario, which pictures could be of joyfulness or not of joyfulness, of happiness or of sorrow. These pictures are pointers. Why is it said they are pointers? When you yourself have a selfie or a photograph of yourself, it is only a picture of an instance. That instance points to yourself. For that picture that you yourself have taken only expresses you to a very limited extent at that particular time. That picture may not tell of your moods. That picture may not tell whether you are hungry or not. There are many things which that picture may not communicate. But that picture points to the form that you have. If that picture were taken about 30 years ago, you must have attained another form. So you find that picture is always a pointer. The pictures which continually the intellect is supposed to gather, which pictures are then sent to the spirit in form of radiation. It is these pictures that the spirit uses to mature. So both joy or sorrow are passed on to the spirit, or the state of joy or the state of sorrow are passed on to the spirit, which the spirit then uses to grasp the conception of what the tool it is using is experiencing. If, however, those pictures are not passed down to the spirit, then the spirit lacks the comprehension. It means the spirit is still a pauper, does not have enough experiences to mature. For to become self-conscious, those inner qualities which have been endowed in it need to be awakened. And only through vigorous upbuilding activities in accordance with the laws of creation, which laws of creation says you have to weigh, you have to examine, not only intellectually, but also in spirit. Only through this process can these inner attributes in motion become awake, become doubly watchful. Therefore, it is important that the human personality becomes awake.
Thanks very much for this answer, Gregory. In every answer we are or you are giving, what is clear is that whatever you could say abilities, resources, tools that we are given to use, they must work together in harmony, together, working together. It's not one dominating the other one dominating the other as such. They just work together, and there's a balance. Gregory, we've been, you know, I know you did mention it before, but that is really important to remember. And all these words, they sound so beautiful and, very commonly used, but maybe they're not properly appreciated, in the way they're meant to be, you can say, because some people, as I said, they will say, oh, he's intelligent and this way, and in other words, he's better than somebody else, or some sort of implications are like that. But yeah, we are all different talents and so on, but the basic things are the same. All of us have eyes, ears, we have the intuition, so it all is about using them. That's the point, and using them, you could say, are right in the right way that they are designed to be used. So again, I'm basically repeating that we need to know that there's a structure, there's a function, and there's a mechanism, operating mechanism, that we need to become conscious, as you say, Gregory. We need to be awakened, conscious of these things, rather than be sleeping, blindly going from A to B, and then obviously causing a lot of trouble. I'm just thinking, Gregory, we're almost to the end of the show now. So, Gregory, where we have gone astray, you can say, how can we get back, or is it even, have we made too much trouble, as say, Gregory, to sort of save our future as human beings? Maybe some of us have gone too far, and there's no redemption for such people, and there's still a chance. So can you put a sort of a situation where we are at, how we stand?
Yes, it is possible. Through an example. As with everything, maybe an example will be very helpful. For each moment in which the personality is permitted to experience here on earth is an opportunity. Whether in ill health or in good health, whether rich or poor, it's immaterial as long as the human personality makes use of the opportunity of existence aright. Even when their personality is under dire circumstances. The example of the thief on the cross, who under such dire circumstances, being nailed to the cross or tied to the cross, was still able, in their challenges, their personal challenge, was still able to view things aright in that terrible scenario. To view things aright by looking, look, you haven't done wrong. I myself, I know I have done wrong. And in that case, please, when you go up, do not forget me. Compare that one to the other thief on the cross. The first thing the human spirit needs to do is to understand itself, to know thyself, to know the scenario in which he or she is. And in striving to know itself, it can then ask for help. Such seeking, understanding that they know nothing, harbors so much blessing. For when the human personality comes to that state that it knows nothing and pleads for help, then that which is called miracle will happen. Those miracles which will only manifest in accordance with the will of Him who permitted creation to come into existence. Such a person will not dictate how the manifestation may occur, but in trust, in admitting to itself that he is a nothing in creation and is prepared to reorganize its life. That may be the first step in the right direction.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this answer there. Dear listeners, we've come to the end of the show tonight on the topic of the distorted two. Hope you've enjoyed the discussion. I'm going to now end with a reading from the foreword of the Grail Message, which is titled, For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I am addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore, awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. see that you're truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Abrushin. Dear listeners, if you wish to get want more information on the Grail Message or want a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. Gregory, anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing all listeners a beautiful week.
Thank you. Same from me, listeners. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. with another topic. Take care.